Senior Senator from District 11 is recognized.
Mr. President, members of the legislature, I agree with Senator Friend's amendment. I am partial to 111 for a number of reasons. First of all, my district comprises 2/3 of it. But when I was in the Army, which is considered the lowest branch among the various services, the lowest MOS, which was mine, 111. The lowest position you can hold in the Army is that of a rifleman. My MOS was 111. Senator Friend brought back not so pleasant memories, but I thought I would acknowledge agreement with his amendment nevertheless.
Thank you, Senator Steuben. You've heard the opening on AM 226. Senator Chambers, you're recognized.
Mr. President, members of the legislature, I would like to ask Senator Steuben a question or two if he would respond.
Senator Steuben, will you yield to a question from Senator Chambers?
Yes, willingly.
Senator Steuben, how much money is involved here?
The amount of money is $138,000. It's a cash transfer, is what it is from, I guess, $138,000.
Senator Steuben, do you think will qualify you as a big spender?
In my work of life, yes, a very big spender.
As a member of the legislature, is the amount you're requesting or suggesting considered a large amount of money?
No.
And what will be the benefit of this money?
The benefit of this money, it's a cash transfer, these $138,000. It's a fee charged to the people when they're, all of those that pay this fee. It's an $8 annual fee. That was, it was $8 for 3 years, and now it's going to be $8 for 2 years. And it's just a transfer. There's realistically nothing coming from the state of Nebraska. It's a fee that's charged to the people that are getting credentialed, and the individuals have to pay the fee. And this is where it comes from.
Senator Steuben, when a person is credentialed, is that person given some kind of card which can fit in a wallet?
Yes, this is very true.
Does it have distinctive markings which would make it clear that it is issued by the state of Nebraska?
Yes, the way I understand it would be. I am not aware. I do not have one of these cards because this, I'm not one of those that would be a medication aid. It would be individuals that have the education to be a certified medication aid, and they would be issued the card. And yes, it would come from the Department of Health and Human Services.
Would the fact that a person is licensed to carry a concealed weapon prevent him or her from being one of these aids, as far as you know, if they comply with all parts of the law relative to carrying concealed weapons?
Well, I think, Senator Chambers, I realistically think that you cannot carry a concealed weapon in a hospital or in a doctor's office where these medication aids would be performing their service, their scope of service.
But if they're not in one of those prohibited facilities, a person could be one of these aids and be licensed to carry a concealed weapon and, in fact, carry a concealed weapon. True?
Yes, that would be true.
If a person were to flash this card quickly, would a person being shown that card, and then the person flashing the card would pat an obvious bulge in his or her pocket, or if it was a member of the distaff side, she would reach in her purse, could that person being accosted in this way think that he or she was dealing with a member of the law enforcement establishment?
Yes, if that would be displayed in a very hastily manner and just show that a permit, they probably could think that they do have the permit. But I think that would be the responsibility of the person to grab the hand of the individual that is showing the permit and hold it still and quiet until they could read what the card had said.
Well, suppose at the time the card was shown in the left hand, the gat or the heater or the Roscoe was put on you in the right hand. Would you advise the person to grab that card in that set of circumstances?
I think in that set of circumstances, I would grab the other hand.
Legislature.
You grab the hand with the gat in it.
Could you repeat that question?
1 minute.
You would grab the hand that had the pistol in it.
Yes, that's what I would do, but I think normally a person probably would just melt.
How rapidly would your hand move? Are you known as Flash?
Realistically,
Do you think
no.
your hand could move quicker than somebody could pull a trigger?
No, I don't think so.
So then you still nevertheless would grab that hand?
Yes, I would still try to do it.
I got to turn my light on, but thank you for now, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Chambers. You may continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Steuben, whenever I can, I like to serve as a mentor. And one of the things I believe a mentor should do is advise the mentee to avoid doing anything that could bring harm to the mentee. Now, if the distance between you and me, which exists now, which may be about 6 feet, were the distance between you and the person I described, and the person I described has the gat over here, would you lunge in order to grab the pistol?
No, I would not lunge.
Would you more or less melt?
Probably faint.
Thank you. My mentoring was successful this morning. Thank you, Senator Steuben. Thank you. Mr. President, members of the legislature, I've been on the Ag Committee for a number of years, and this matter has come before us, and it seems that at last there is going to be a final resolution in a way that will harm nobody and may bring some peace where otherwise there might not be that. So in honor of the work that Senator Erdman did and Senator McDonald, I want to call a couple of things to everybody's attention. There's a man named George Herbert who was a British poet, and he was known as one of the metaphysical poets. He lived several hundred years ago, and he might be alive today as far as I know, but the dates that they give for him having lived was 1593 to 1633. But you can't always go by what you read, because there's a fellow who said the reports of his death had been greatly exaggerated. Well, they had newspapers when he said that. They may not have had that kind of communication during Mr. Herbert's life, but he said, "Love your neighbor, yet pull not down your hedge." Remember what that American philosopher said? Trust but verify. When I was growing up, preachers always came to Sunday dinner. They did, at people's houses. And the expression arose, and I'm sure somebody's heard a version of it everywhere: trust the preacher but lock up the silverware. That's another version of the hedge, don't pull it down. Herbert was known as a metaphysical poet. There was an American poet named Robert Frost, and he was known as a cool dude by the youngsters who had to deal with him in school. And his dates were 1874 to 1963. And he wrote a poem in 1914 called Mending Wall. One of the lines that everybody has heard is, "Something there is that doesn't love a wall." I know that there are people who don't love a wall, and they are in various stages of incarceration, and they would prefer that the wall not be there, but that's not what we're talking about this morning. Here's something that Frost put in his poem. Two neighbors conversing. "My apple trees never get across and eat the cones under his pines," I tell him. He only says, "Good fences make good neighbors." So Senator Erdman and Senator McDonald are going to make it possible for those fences to remain good, for the neighbors to remain relatively good, or at least peacefully coexist. And a problem that has come up repeatedly since I've been here, I think will not need to come again. Thank you, Mr. President, and I do support the amendment, and I support the bill.
Thank you, Senator Chambers. Senator Loudon, you're recognized.